Hello. This week's video, or rather this video that's about 5 days after the last video, I'd like to get some feedback, some suggestions, especially some suggestions on what to add next. I've spent the last week focusing on getting all of the major upgrades into the game. I'd say I'm about 85% done. There's a couple things that I want to do still, and I think I need suggestions for a couple more combat upgrades, but let me show you what I've done. So right now this is the way the player starts the game, except for that HUD at the top left, which won't completely be there. As you can see, I've redone the health bar because I decided it just looked better and felt better than the pips on the bottom left corner. I've also added an energy bar and a missiles bar, or a missiles counter, which shouldn't be showing yet, but I haven't actually just toggled it, so it's just on right now. You can ignore that. You can't actually fire anything or do anything with that yet. So if we move forward, as you can see, it's the same as before. You get the jump first, then you get the gun. Same as usual. You can charge up a shot and shoot it for more damage. To get through this door, you need to shoot a bullet. I'm probably going to change that. I don't want the gun to be a blocker for going through doors. Then you unlock the dash, which gives you better combat potential. It's totally free to use. It just has a cooldown. To be able to get over this wall, I'm an idiot and didn't make it high enough. Maybe, I don't know what happened there, but you just jump into the air and dash over the wall. In this next room, you unlock, I can't remember if this was in the last video or not, but something I really like. And if you look at the text at the top, that's obviously going to change. You get a supercharge. So if you keep holding down your charge, you get this big ball of energy, and it works just like a rocket jump. So if you jump into the air and shoot it under your feet, you get launched into the air and gives you a little more height. It also gives you the ability, oh, I don't know how that happened. It gives you the ability to get slightly further in terms of horizontal distances, but that's neither here nor there. Next up, my bullet must have gone through the wall somehow. You have this glide room. You get this glide power up here. So if I jump into the air and continue holding jump, I glide through the air and I can kind of float around and make it to here. And if you miss, you have this shooter here that will shoot you back up. And using air dash feels really great, along with dashing in the air and having like 100% air control. Though I might take away the air control, I haven't decided yet. In this room, you're blocked by a blue wall. The blue wall is impassable. I'm definitely going to change this graphic so it's not boring, but you get the Ultra Cannon upgrade in here. The Ultra Cannon is powered by energy. If we shoot once, you can see the energy went down and the wall will eventually shatter or something like that, or melt, I don't know. As you can see, if we continue using our energy, the bar at the top left corner will recharge slowly. I think it has a 2-second delay on the last energy you used. Adding in all these resources gave me the option of expanding what sort of power-ups I could give the player, like extra recharge speed and bigger max energy level, stuff like that. Next power-up I coded was the shield wall. It lets you, first of all, block enemies if you shoot it at enemies, and I can show you what it looks like. Obviously, I'm going to change it, and it'll probably break once it hits a wall or something like that. But it blocks enemy shots and it pushes enemies back. It's a lot like Symmetra's moving shield in Overwatch, if you've ever played that. So we can actually use it to get through this passageway by shooting it and having the laser hit it instead of us. So it's another sort of key of getting past stuff. And as you can see, it kind of bugs out because it hits this and it's not really supposed to collide with it, but it doesn't matter. Next up, we have a familiar upgrade, the double jump. And I know I said I didn't want to include a double jump, but I think that it's really fun to put in after I played with it for a while. I like the fact that you can jump twice in the air. It gives you a lot of extra control. Though I'm still not 100% sure about the fact that I added in like 100% air control. I might change that eventually. So next room, I think this might be the final room, maybe not. We have a combat shield. Now this thing is a little bit unfinished, but essentially you use it. It costs a lot of energy. What did I hotkey it to? Q, I think. And these little particle effects come up, and eventually this screen will change and add some sort of effect. But it gives you basically a shield around the player, and it will block one full hit of damage, no matter how big the hit is, unless, of course, you get crushed in one shot or something like that. But essentially, this gives you the ability to continuously avoid damage. I'm not so sure how well this will work. I might change it to be like half damage or something like that, or maybe put up like a reflect shield or something like that. I don't know for sure, because I don't want the player to just be forced to spam this all the time. Next room, we do have something else. What is this? Oh, the missile launcher. Yes, this is definitely not going to go at the end here. It just happens to be the last thing that I actually put in. The missile launcher works just like Metroid's missile launcher. I have a missile count at the top left corner, and if I press the missile key, it will shoot out a missile. Obviously, this gun model is going to change very shortly. And the missile model is probably going to have particles, add like a little rocket trail, different explosion because it's the same as this one, as you can see. And then I can also add in missile tanks, which makes it easier to do stuff like shops and hidden power-ups and stuff like that, which I really like the idea of. So I didn't at first want to add all these extra resources like the energy bar and the missiles, but I realized at a certain point that I'm not going to have enough of rewards enough to reward the player as they explore the entire game. So as they explore, I can now add stuff like first of all, money for a shop, and in the shop you can upgrade your health and energy and stuff like that. I'm definitely not going to do boring like toss in 5 coins, get +5 max health over and over again, repeating. But more meaningful upgrades, and probably put in some combat upgrades in the shop and stuff like that. But it lets me also have enemies drop resources like quick refills for energy, health refills, more missiles. I can add in missile power-ups that make them more powerful, that shoot like 2 to 3 missiles at once, or to shoot a missile that freezes enemies, or something like that. So this is where I am right now. I have quite a few power-ups, and I think scope creep is kind of getting to the point of where I'm adding so much that this game is going to take forever to finish. I'm not actually super worried because I'm not going to make it crazy polished or anything like that. But what I need is suggestions for combat abilities. Right now, the 3 combat abilities that use energy, rather, I shouldn't say combat abilities, but abilities that use energy are the shield wall, the ultra cannon, which also pierces enemies, by the way, and the combat shield, which you can see is active, and as soon as you take damage, it deactivates. But I'd like to get like 4 or 5, maybe 6 abilities total in the game. And then possibly another 1 to 2 movement abilities. I can't think of anything else to add in terms of movement. Right now, you're really mobile once you get all these abilities. I definitely won't do double jump until like the end of the game, but it's actually really fun to be able to like jump and double jump and then dash and then glide. And then what's cool is you can charge up your cannon and then double jump, shoot it into the air, then glide, and then charge it up again, let go of glide, and jump into the air, and then dash, and it just feels really nice to be able to like kind of fly around. Yeah. So again, this thing's still here. leave a comment if you can on combat ability suggestions. I've had a suggestion that was like a shield that reflects bullets, which I might change the combat shield to, or like there was a suggestion for, I can't remember what it was, but what these need to be is something that you would potentially use during combat, that you wouldn't be afraid to use, but it wouldn't be so powerful that you would use over all those other abilities. Right now, I think the shield wall is probably something that can definitely be used in like hard boss fights where you have to dodge like big rains of fire. So the boss fight right after you unlock shield wall, you could just stand there and he might shoot this like undodgeable shot. You have to use the shield wall to block it, which I like. It's sort of like a key in that sense. But then combat shield costs a lot of energy. And if I make combat too hard, then players are going to just spam that over and over again. Or maybe they won't. I don't know. The piercing ultra cannon is actually really good because it pierces. So like those big if you watch the other videos, those big giant blobs of enemies that come at you, the ultra shot will take care of them very quickly. And then I have to potentially differentiate missiles from the rest of this stuff. So probably give them splash damage, other than like make them do more damage. They already do about 10 times as much damage as a normal shot, which is quite a bit. But yeah. What else? So I need combat ability suggestions. I need another potential movement ability suggestions. I was actually thinking about doing a grappling hook at first, but now with all these abilities that give you this crazy movement, grappling hook wouldn't really work that well, because a lot of levels need to be designed around it, and I never want to do like a grappling hook thing where there are specific points that you can only grapple to and nothing else. So I'll need that. And here are my next steps. This week, for the next couple of days, I want to finish up the last couple of combat abilities and stuff like that. And then I'm going to spend at least 4 to 5 days polishing all of these abilities. So right now, everything looks like absolute shit. Like dash is just a couple of particles that shoot out in front of you, which isn't terrible, but it would be nice to add some sort of blur effect to the screen, or I don't know, something that makes it look a little bit better. Obviously, this combat shield looks like absolute shit. It's just blue particles going up at the bottom of the screen. When you get hit by an enemy shot, you don't actually, it just, like the particles just stop coming. The shield wall needs an actual model instead of just like a really thin cube. I don't know what I'm going to do for that, but I'm probably going to copy Symmetra's shield thing. This laser thing needs more particles around the gun where it shoots. So I'm actually probably going to create a new gun model. It'll probably be very similar to Samus's gun arm thing, and have like a little slot for missiles that it shoots out of. Missiles will need particle effects as well. Double jump, I might add little particles under the player to every time they jump. What else? What else is there? Glide, I have no idea what I'm going to do for glide. Maybe like some sort of gas trails on the sides of the screen. I don't know what that signifies though, but maybe nothing. I don't know. Maybe glide is fine the way it is. And then I'm actually probably going to change this shot. But anyway, okay, so next couple of days, add in the final abilities, polish everything, make it look the way that I want it to look at the end of the game. And then after that, start on making sure that all the side upgrades are working. So stuff like the shop works really well. Stuff like permanent upgrades like missile tanks, energy bar upgrades, health bar upgrades works. Attaching it all to enemies, probably going to go ahead and model all the enemies. If you watched the last video, there's a little spiky enemy. I'm going to add like little tentacles to the bottom of it so that it looks cooler. But then I don't know what I'm going to do about texturing because I can't texture for shit. I can't model for shit either. But yeah, so this week, finish up stuff, make everything look nice. And then after that, hopefully start creating the world. Well, the world already started, but finishing the world. So until next week, hopefully at the middle of next week, I'll do another video. Goodbye.